main focus of the next game update that's coming introduces the PvP consequence system, or notoriety system. And basically this system allows players to partake in PvP, but if they engage in activities that others might deem as antisocial and pick on weaker targets, they'll actually get a reputation for doing so, and eventually become flagged as murderers and find themselves ostracized from the communities and civilization around Hyboria. And normally you might think that would be a problem for players' gameplay, but effectively what we've done is we've added a whole new system of camps all around Hyboria where the outlaws of the land, as it were, are living and taking place, and then players can become a part of that community once they become murderers. The player will be able to redeem themselves for the actions that they've taken already. There'll basically be a series of new redemption quests in each of these outlaw camps that players can find in every playfield.
Well, the very first question that one has to ask about redemption in Conan's world is, what does it mean? Every culture has its own type of redemption. Stygians, they don't really care about murderers because half of the priests in Stygia are murderers, dragging people to the altars. Aquilonians and Cimmerians have their own different views of honour, and therefore they have their own cultures, and therefore the stories for redeeming yourself are different in every culture.
How long it takes you to redeem yourself will very much depend on how evil you've been in the first place. Obviously, if you've spent weeks and weeks being evil and picking on weak players and gaining yourself a horribly bad reputation, it's going to take a considerable amount of time for you to earn that back.
Good and evil are very unique concepts. They don't really exist in Hyboria. Certain actions to certain cultures might be evil, certain actions to other cultures might be fine. And so the quests are designed with that in mind. So for example, in Stygia, to redeem yourself with the Stygian people, you don't necessarily have to go around, killing bad guys. Perhaps you go around, doing things that in Aquilonia would be considered very evil deeds. So, and that's how, and I think, like, for example, in Stygia, the key to redeeming yourself is fear. How much can you scare the common people of Stygia? They lock you out of their cities, you scare them into letting you back in. That's what you do. You have a reputation so bad that when you walk in the streets, the watchmen don't dare to attack you.
When you bring in a system like this with new outlaw camps in each and every playfield, it's a really great opportunity for us to instill an extra bit of storyline into the game. That these outlaw camps have very interesting characters in them, especially the ones that are trying to redeem the player. There's a story as to why each of those individuals are there, and there's some quests that the players can do that engage them in that and find out why these people are on the other side of life in Hyboria. And going forward, it gives us a great opportunity for future content as well, because having a network of outlaws in your game world opens up all kinds of opportunities for future content as well, for some really interesting storylines and dynamics. The next game update also comes the next tier of armors.
The new armors that's coming in are looking more spectacular. They are ancient-looking armors coming from the Thurian age of the Conan universe. It's back from the Cole stories that Howard wrote even before he wrote the Conan stories. It's gonna get you more into character. That's what we're striving for.
It's going to be very interesting to see how the players relate and react to having a consequence for their actions. So far they've been used to being able to partake in any type of PvP activity they like without consequence. And it's always really interesting for me when you introduce this kind of dynamic into any gaming community, that it can be divisive, it can be engaging, it can create heroes and it can create villains. And it's a really important part of having an MMO because it's that community element. It's that feeling of this is a game world and there are famous people and there are infamous people, and how they relate creates a whole new gameplay dynamic that can make the experience much, much more interesting. Yeah.